Hi, it's me. Monday, 17th of June. Is information technology always a good thing? In fact, is the internet always a good thing? The reason I ask that is I think to myself sometimes we actually lose a little romance in some of the things that we do. Let me give you a great example. For the last 10 years of his life, my dad seriously researched our family tree. If that wasn't easy, the family, or all strands of the family, were from many different parts of Ireland. Records were scarce in some instances, so it entailed him researching libraries, information centres, cemeteries, all over the UK and Ireland, and then writing to genealogists all over the world. The great thing about it was that it took a long time to put this jigsaw together, and at each step along the way it brought great joy to my father and to myself when we found out new information, new connections, things that we didn't know before. It was a 10-year journey which also took us to many of the places that we unearthed in the search for information. Nowadays, that 10-year journey, if you're prepared to pay, might be achieved in 10 days, but it wouldn't be much fun. Along the way, he unearthed 3 great little stories which I'm quickly going to share with you now. His grandfather was called John McGran. In fact, John McGran tends to be the eldest of the family in his generation, just like myself really. And John McGran, his grandfather, was called the Mystery Man. He was a sailor, like many of the family who went away to sea for long periods of time. But the strange thing about this guy was that, turn of the century, he disappeared. His wife remarried, and for that to happen, he had to be dead. But my father never ever could find any evidence in the UK or Ireland of his death, and he searched vigorously. So the church knew something, because they allowed his widow to remarry. Anyway, my dad passed away, and he never did know what happened to the Mystery Man. A couple of years ago, I was doing a search on the internet, and I came across a story that in the period where he must have died, between the birth of his last child and the remarriage of his widow, a guy called John McGran was shot and killed in a bar in New York. And that may well account for the cover-up. Interesting though. Last time I was in New York, unfortunately, was during the fateful event of 9/11. So New York, for some reason, doesn't go down with guys called John McGran. The second interesting fact he picked up was when he was searching through a census in Liverpool. The census was taken every 10 years. Up until recent years, it was mainly handwritten, and it would give, for example, a household and all the people that were in the household, including kids as well, and it would give you their status. You know, father, head of household, carpenter, mother, teacher, for example. Then children would be listed as scholars. But an amazing fact, in one household, in one branch of the family, he found a Jane Keogh, I think her name was Jane, and she was listed as a white slave of the West Indies. He couldn't actually believe what he read. So he went down to the local library in Liverpool and inquired there, and it was true that thousands, if not tens of thousands, of Irish, including women and children, were transported by their colonial masters to the West Indies and were kept as slaves, not as servants or maids, but as slaves. The good thing about the internet is that that's the kind of thing you can go and check yourself. Irish slaves, West Indies. But I bet you didn't know that. And the third interesting fact concerned John McGrann, of course. This time my grandfather, or my father's father, who was a very quiet guy, but in my dad's search for more information, he found out that his father, and he was 16 when his father died, he found out that his father was a bit of a tough guy, good boxer. And he actually fought a guy called Victor McLaughlin, who you may not know of the name, but you would certainly recognise him as a drunken Irishman in most movies featuring John Wayne. And in a very, very famous Irish movie called The Quiet Man, John Wayne and Victor McLaughlin have probably the longest punch-up in movie history. Go and check it out, it's great fun. But in real life, McLaughlin was a boxer, and he actually fought my grandfather, John McGrann, who I believe he narrowly beat. McLaughlin was fighting for the US Navy, and my grandfather was fighting for the UK Navy. And then McLaughlin went on then to find a guy called Jack Johnson, who possibly was the greatest heavyweight boxing champion of all time. I bet you didn't know that either. So, in summary, the internet has a huge amount of information and knowledge, and in many ways that can be of great benefit to us. But you know, if my dad was here now, would he swap those 10 years of great stories, great travels, great information the hard way to pay a number of database managers to extract the information that took him 10 years? I don't really know, but I suspect he'd rather do it the long way. That's it for now. Talk to you soon.